And when you take a look at all the other things about, once again, in our research and in others, people have this inclination of, I want to make a difference for other people. All right. So as we continue with the Great Contact Center Challenge, with the challenge being, can you make working in this industry worthwhile so that people really love their jobs in a sense? So as we take a look at that, what we're going to talk about today is, hey, Ted, what makes an agent's job worthwhile?
Well, I think what makes an agent's job worthwhile is no different than what makes everyone's job worthwhile. And I think it involves what we call meaningful work. Now, we have to probably step away from that a second and explain what meaningfulness is. Because it's a big one.
It's a big, dropping a big word, a big term.
Right. We look at this as a lot of researchers have done. Certainly, we are following a long line of people who have researched meaningful work over the last 100 and so years. I think the best thing they have done is divided into 3 types of meaningfulness. And one of the first ones is what's called meaning from work. And that's where the job provides a certain stability. It provides pay, benefits. Mm-hmm. It's all those things that you want when you take a job in terms of the compensation really side of things.
Yeah.
Now that's okay. That is meaningful. And by the way, that is necessary. And that's why we're talking about it first. There are companies that don't pay a living wage. I mean, I don't know how you're going to get any further along in the process of meaningfulness because it is necessary. But it's not sufficient to truly have a sense of joy and meaningfulness from work. So there's a second one, which is the meaning that you get at work. So meaning at work is really talking about all those things that the work environment, the company brings.
Correct.
And that includes things like the people you work with, for example. You feel like you're part of another second social group. You hear this term a lot. This is me. If you're introducing somebody, you'll say, "This is like a brother to me, or a sister," or "This is my second family here at work." Mm-hmm. And we celebrate birthdays. We want to be part of people's life and lived experience. We want them to be part of ours. So that's all great. And again, necessary. Why else come together? For goodness sakes, we spend a lot of hours at work. If we're going to just sit and stare at a screen, which we'll get into later, that's a bit problematic. So it is also, but it's not sufficient. Yeah. What we do believe ultimately people really are looking for is meaningful work.
The key characteristic of meaningful work is when my work makes a difference in someone else's life.
Okay, so hang on. So right. We're in an industry. We take 35, 40, some people 50 calls a day, maybe doing endless chats, email. We won't even get into back office and such here. We get into maybe in some later episodes. But let's just talk about, for right now, phone calls.
Yep.
If I'm an agent, have to have number of calls a day with total, complete strangers. People I have never met before, people I will never see again. In fact, I'm not seeing them, I'm only hearing them, but I will never potentially interact with this individual again. And somehow I'm supposed to either solve their problem, take their complaints, whatever it is I'm doing. How is that meaningful? Yeah. How is that meaningful?
What's great is, once again, when you talk to these agents and they say what do they really like? That's exactly it. They say, and here's one that always was a great focus group, response from an agent is, I love my job. I am great at taking care of customers, and I thrive on it. I love it. I love it. And when you take a look at all the other things about, once again, in our research and in others, people have this inclination of, I want to make a difference for other people. And, bringing in what maybe some people don't know. I mean, a lot of people know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, hey, this hierarchy of needs ends with self-actualization. Well, Maslow said, no, I got it wrong. He added, and a lot of people don't know, he said the top thing is self-transcendence. Because if what I do doesn't transcend myself, it's not really worthwhile. And
So in other words, it becomes less about yourself. So self-actualization, the very top part of that Maslow hierarchy of need, is about achieving the full you, the being the best you can be, right?
Correct. Being
the one step further is now forgetting that your happiness transcends your own self, and your happiness is based on the ability to help others.
Correct. And that you can find this, yes, as a contact center agent, and as we, measure this, the high latent potential of that. And then, there's some other industries even in contact center, especially when you're dealing with more like emergency calls, or if you're dealing with medical, where things are a little bit more, the topic and the interaction is even more heightened. You would think, oh my gosh, that's more stress, that's more challenge. But yeah, we've seen, as what we talked in previous episode, challenge and effort, the more you give, makes it even more meaningful in a sense. I will do the extra. It's beyond really what somebody's paid for. I can provide a service and I can get paid to follow this, that script, blah, blah, blah. But no, and this idea that we talked about last time of engagement, when I decide I am going to give of myself, I'm going to go above and beyond. And the reason why I do that is because I truly want to help another person with the work that I do every day. If you're going to be doing it, 40, 50, how many hours a week, you should find it that it actually ties to your own values in, kind of meaning in life.
Right.
It's worthwhile.
And it doesn't have to be every minute. It doesn't have to be every call. It just has to be often enough that it adds up to a sense that this is worthwhile.